From the Watergate building in Washington, this is Hotline TV. Now here are Hotline editors John Mercurio and Amy Walter.
All right, the weather cleared. My flight finally got back to D.C., and I'm back. Did you miss me?
Anyway, I'm Amy Walter. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to a special big August event edition of Hotline TV. John, we're going to look at a bunch of upcoming events and events that have actually already happened, discuss their significance in the presidential race. Ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
Let's do it.
Number one, the Iowa straw poll.
All right, straw poll taking place obviously next weekend. We've seen, I think, a little bit more buildup than I was expecting, and a little bit more of a raising of the expectations, not just among the candidates, but among the media about an event that actually might have some impact on this campaign. On the other hand, I think, look, a lot of people are bored with this race. A lot of journalists are bored with it, especially on the Republican side. They're looking at their expense accounts. They haven't really been able to spend much money. They're looking to travel. They're looking to go to Iowa in August, and they're looking for something to shake up the Republican campaign. Hopefully, there's a lot of hope, I think, going on. Hopefully, this will be it.
Now, they also want to see Harry Potter in butter, because that's what the butter sculpture will be this year. I think that's the real untold story. But you're right. Let's look at it this way, which is, it is hard to justify in some ways the significance of this event when two people who are leading in the national polls and leading in some early state polls, Rudy Giuliani, Fred Thompson, not there.
Right.
Obviously, John McCain, not there either, not quite as significant.
Not really sure
what I
where
think
he
is
is
sort of interesting is the fact that Brownback clearly is looking for this as his breakthrough moment. He's taken punches left and right. The one person, by the way, who has said he expects to finish in the top two is somebody who also is not getting himself involved in the fray at all. Could T. Thompson be something of, an upset here? I don't know.
There's a guy named Michael Brown who ran for mayor in Washington, D.C. and got more votes than he expected he would because people were confusing him at the time. I think it was with the former FEMA director, Michael Brown. That's a weird analogy, a weird thing for me to actually bring up, but could Tommy Thompson actually get votes that were intended for Fred Thompson? This is a smart group of people who are showing up for these straw polls. It's not just your sort of average general electorate.
Yeah, you're bussing people into these things. I mean, it is all about organizing and effort, and we do know that Romney has the best effort on the ground. Everybody who's in Iowa will tell you that. The question is, can we really see what's happening with some of these other campaigns? I don't know.
I think it's a lose-lose for Romney, I think, ultimately, because people automatically, I think, expect him to do well. He's been rising in the polls in Iowa. He hasn't really invested in as much as other candidates in this straw poll, but I think the general perception among the national media is going to be that he should win, and not just win, but win with at least 30%. So for him not to do that, I think would be a big problem. If he does it, though, it could potentially be big.
All right, what's next?
The HRC logo debate.
Okay, you're quite familiar with that debate. Aren't you going to be heading out to LA next week?
I am, in fact, hanging out with Melissa Etheridge at the HRC logo debate.
I swear to God, if you get invited to any of those parties, I'm going to hate you.
I will. You might hate me. You might hate me, and I apologize in advance because it will be a good weekend or a good week. Look, they're going to be out there. This is an interesting. I think if you look at how much the party's changed since 2004, all you really have to do is look at the HRC logo debate. It's going to be a time, I think, where you see this Democratic constituency playing to their base in a way that John Kerry, John Edwards, even Dick Gephardt, frankly, whose daughter is a homosexual, didn't do in 2004. I think you're going to see a much more aggressive push, but not just for the HRC logo debate, but throughout this campaign, in a way that I think emphasizes, in other ways we're seeing, there are other examples going on right now, but in a way that I think emphasizes what an enhanced sort of force the liberal base of the party is.
The question really is going to be, once all these debates are over and the primaries are done, just how much clout are these groups going to have in the debate?
Zero.
Right. Well, it's going to be very interesting for them because they're going to say, look, we're the ones who got all the attention, we raised all the money, whether you're the AFL that's running out Soldier Field or whether you're the HRC logo debate. You're used to getting Daily Kos this weekend, getting a whole bunch of folks to turn out. So they're still going to have to answer to the base, and we'll see just how much it could impact the general.
You know, I mean, I say approximately zero, but frankly, this could end up being a really interesting presidential campaign cycle. You're seeing such a dispirited Republican base, and you're seeing such an emboldened Democratic base for the first time in decades. Frankly, the emboldened and very well organized and pretty well funded liberal base of the Democratic Party, I think, might be exactly like you're saying, might be able to carry that message into the general election. Say, look, you all took these, stands that impressed us. We funded your campaign. You stick with us, or we won't be with you in the general. And I think, having seen what Democrats went through with Nader in 2000 and losing in 2004, it'll be interesting to see how they respond.
All right.
All right. What's next?
The DLC National Conversation.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what more to say there. The story was that nobody showed up. No White House 08 candidate showed up. Bill Clinton did come and sort of dip his toe into the Obama-Hillary controversy a little bit. But, bottom line is, it goes right back to what we were saying before, that the DLC message is one that is going to sell better and work better in a general election audience, not in a primary audience. It shouldn't be all that surprising that you didn't see Democrats spending a whole lot of time there, especially when the race for the nomination is still so incredibly competitive, and nobody wants to look like the establishment candidate.
Nobody wants to be the Joe Lieberman of the 2008 presidential campaign, the DLC candidate of 2004.
Really?
Evan Bayh, Tom Vilsack. These are the sort of Democrats that made decisions early on. Vilsack running for a brief time, and Evan Bayh deciding not to run at all. These are the people. These are the Democrats who decided this is not the year, and they decided wisely. I think Mark Warner as well. This is not the year for the conservative Democrat, for the sort of red state Democrat. And that's a real change from a year ago, when everybody thought Mark Warner was sort of the ideal presidential candidate because he could get into this with his sort of red state, pro-gun credentials and make it into a sort of a centrist campaign.
Okay, what's next?
The Republican YouTube debate.
Throughout this campaign, you have seen time and time again, and even trying to look at it as objectively as possible, Republicans shooting themselves in the foot. Look, I think there were clear flaws with the CNN YouTube debate for the Democrats. I think some of the format was silly. I thought the moderator skipped some important opportunities to make news. Actually, the Hillary Obama spat that started after the debate could have actually happened in the debate if Anderson Cooper had been more on top of it. But look, I think there are clear benefits to doing this, and the fact that Mitt Romney is reducing the debates to something about, I don't want to answer questions. I don't think a presidential candidate should answer questions from a snowman. I think it shows that he raises himself, I think, a little bit above where he should be.
The real question is, and I think if you're Rudy Giuliani and Mitt Romney, though, you know that if you're talking about the kinds of people who are going to submit questions to YouTube, whether it's your base or whether it's, because it's the whole universe, they're not limiting it just to Republicans. Those social issue questions, the questions they don't want to spend a whole lot of time having to defend, are going to get brought up time and time and time again. And it also was reported that so many of the questions that were already being submitted specifically addressed Rudy Giuliani, and some of those personal questions. Remember, that was the debate early on about the debates, was that maybe what these were going to be good for, a YouTube debate, was that these folks, regular people, would ask the questions that anchors and news people were too afraid to ask because of relationships, and they're all part of the same pool and all of that.
Sure.
And that, you will hear questions of the Mormon question. You're going to hear questions about Rudy's divorce. You're going to get into some of those more specific, very personal issues that neither candidate can afford to walk into.
Right.
So I don't know if that's. So I don't know if there's a whole lot of benefit from Rudy or for Mitt Romney to go ahead and play this debate. Now, does it continue to get spun out that these are, as the New York Times sort of suggested today, that these guys are going to be painted as out of touch, and they don't really get, it's a field of older white guys that don't really get sort of what the future is. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, because I think that is exactly, CNN sort of won, and YouTube sort of won that spin war at the very beginning of this. They won the idea that this was sort of a revolutionary way for the candidates to hold a debate, and I think for Romney and Giuliani to step out of it like that, I think it's very, very, very risky, actually. All right, what do we got?
The aforementioned yearly Coast Convention.
And it was aforementioned, and it also has been highlighted by our wonderful blogometer reporter, Con Carroll, who had very important things to say, I think, today about what to look for at the yearly Coast Convention here. The most important is things have even changed. You know, we think about, well, gosh, how much things have changed from a year ago. Think how much things changed just from a couple days ago, where Barack Obama would be going in. It's his hometown crowd. He should be, you know, theoretically the Netroots guy, and now he's actually going to have to go in and defend what some people on the blogs are calling, you know, sort of his approach to Pakistan, which is getting a lot of support even from some Republicans,
Right.
sort of a preemptive strike concept, obviously not too popular among the Netroots.
Right.
So he's going to have to talk about that. Is that going to provide an opportunity for somebody like John Edwards to take a punch there? Hillary Clinton has come very far
Right.
with her relationship.
In her relationship with
Yeah.
the Netroots, absolutely. I think that's sort of the key part of her strategy of trying to build support in the Netroots is to try to sort of minimize the differences between these Democratic candidates. I mean, the blogosphere on the Democratic side is clearly much more focused on sort of putting the candidates in different categories. Hillary being the sort of centrist, moderate candidate that they don't support. She's done a great job, I think, over the past 6 months of sort of minimizing that, neutralizing that, which I think puts her on a much more even playing field and sort of puts the bloggers back on a more sort of potentially. I think they're certainly in a place where they are much more willing to support her. Edwards, I totally agree with you. My big prediction is that he comes out of this with a big attack line against Clinton and Obama based on this. And poor Chris
You
Dodd.
heard it here. I know. Poor Chris Dodd. I mean, he does so much for them, and they just show him no love.
Yeah,
No love.
it's hard.
All right, well, that'll do it for today's Hotline TV. I'm Amy Walter.
And I'm John Mercurio. We'll see you next time on Hotline TV.
By the way, I like the hair.
Thank you.
It's looking good.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah, thanks.